mining these bitcoins. People are paid to convince. If you know someone that's paying people to convince others to join Bitcoin, please tell me, because I'm not getting paid to do this. Now, here's the big thing. Bitcoin is not a zero-sum game. If you compare it to email, for example, if you're the only person in the world that's using email, it's not really that valuable to you. You're going to email no one else, right? As soon as one other person is using email, you can now email them, and they can now email you. It's become more valuable for both people. There's value that's actually created every time someone else starts to use email, and it's the same thing with Bitcoin. And this value isn't just plus one. This is exponential growth in value. Is Bitcoin unsustainable? Well, that's a function of time, right? I mean, I don't know how long the average Ponzi schemes last, maybe 6 months or something, but maybe the big ones will last as long as Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been around for 6 years, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think, anyway. And I mean, you can't uninvent the technology, right? You'll hear this a lot in the news. Criminals use it for money laundering or to buy drugs online because Bitcoin is anonymous. And again, kind of true. I mean, you can buy drugs online with it. Steroids, if you're so interested. This is the Silk Road, by the way. If you guys haven't seen this, is all kinds of weed. I have no idea what all that stuff is. So Bitcoin has some inherent characteristics that make it not ideal for money laundering. Firstly, the blockchain, as we were mentioning, which is a public ledger of every transaction that's ever happened, and it's recorded in history forever. If you were doing bad business, like the definition of money laundering, if you were doing something bad with money, you probably wouldn't want that recorded publicly forever, despite your name not being attached to it forever. Bitcoin is immoral. So, not getting into the moralities of substance abuse, Bitcoin doesn't decide where you can and can't transfer Bitcoins. It doesn't have the same sort of pull that maybe Visa card has when what was it, WikiLeaks? Was it yeah, it was WikiLeaks, when they cut off donations to WikiLeaks, before even a court order or anything. And it's my belief that money should not have that say. That's up to the court system and the people to decide what is or isn't against the law. And Bitcoin is most certainly not anonymous. It's pseudonymous, meaning your personal information isn't attached to Bitcoin transactions, but your Bitcoin wallet address is. It's not your name, but it is something that is attached to the Bitcoin transaction. It wouldn't be too big of a stretch to see that maybe, watching the transaction patterns. I mean, Google does all kinds of crazy stuff with data mining. Maybe it'd be possible to trace back where, a transaction to an individual one day. I don't know. I mean, you could sort of protect yourself by using, one wallet address per transaction. Bitcoin got hacked. Yeah. You'll often hear that. Didn't they get hacked and didn't Bitcoin go bankrupt and everyone lost their money? False. The Bitcoin protocol has never been compromised. Since the Genesis block, the very beginning of the system, the network has seen a 99.988% uptime. And there's a website, bitcoinuptime.com, that counts live and will tell you how much the network is up. And 99.9, it's okay for IT standards, but it's exceptional for banking standards. Satoshi could change the protocol or shut the whole thing down. Again, no one, including Satoshi and the Bitcoin Foundation, has exclusive control of the network. In order to implement a change of the protocol, 51% of the network consensus must agree to the changes and start using the new code. This process is known as hard forking. Well, if Satoshi can't shut it down, then governments will surely shut it down. So I repeat, no one, including Satoshi, the Bitcoin Foundation, or the government has control over the network. It's crazy. You might hear of things, different types of attacks, like the 51% attack, the double spend attack, civil attack, race attack, denial of service attack. These are all theoretical attacks, and none of which have been successfully executed against the Bitcoin system. And in all cases, the cost of the attack is far, far greater than the reward that you would get from hacking it. I mean, there's a lot of money if you can hack the Bitcoin network. It hasn't happened as yet. Now we're getting to the topic that I like. But Bitcoins aren't backed by anything. How can beeps and boops on a computer have value? Okay, now we're getting into where we were talking a second ago. So the question is, why does a currency need to be backed? So when a unit of currency is tied to a fixed quantity of gold, the supply of the currency is directly related to the total amount of gold. It's a noble concept. That way you can prevent debasement of your currency because you limit the supply by relating it to a scarce resource. And in this case it's gold, but it could be anything, silver or something. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. Which one of these is the odd one out? So we got a nice crisp polymer vinyl $100 bill, some gold, and Monopoly money.
Gold.
Gold's the odd one out? How many people say gold? How many people say... Anyone say the Monopoly money? It's a difficult question I don't think there is an answer. Because I mean, you could say... What could you say? You could say that these...
Under what?
Under what criteria?
Like value or under...
Under any criteria you decide.
Okay,
which is the odd
material criteria.
You can't control the supply
of the gold. Right, so gold, in this case, is limit. There's a certain amount of gold atoms on the earth.
The same could be said for monopoly money within the context of one word.
False. It's right there in the rules. The bank never runs out of money.
What?
And I'm not making this stuff
You can
up.
like add money.
Yeah, you write it down on a piece of paper, or I think the two.
I've
they
never
suggest.
played Monopoly that way.
There's a fixed
That's
amount.
what my rationale is based on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Does it work for Catan?
you could say that
No.
I had a.
Sorry.
That's cool.
Here's that.
But what was the other? So how could I can't remember what I was gonna say. Okay, so here's the next question. Which one is most similar to Bitcoin? I mean, you could say similar because it's limited in supply. It could be plain money for the internet, magical internet money, right? But I mean, you could also buy stuff with it. It's not easy to go to a corner store and pay with, cut off a chunk of your gold brick to buy a croissant or something. Or whatever.
Yeah, no, are we talking Bitcoin capital B? Or are we talking Bitcoin,
Little b.
the little
So just
little
in terms
bits?
of nomenclature, guys, there's a lot of confusion with this. Bitcoin, common B, refers to the currency. Capital B refers to what you were talking about, the blockchain technology.
So,
Anyway, who knows which one it's similar to gold.
then it'd have to be the gold, because you can only mine so many bits. And they're all mined up.
But I don't know, is Bitcoin kind of funny internet money?
I'd say gold too, but for a different reason.
Well, what's your reason?
My reason is liquidity.
Liquidity.
You
Wouldn't
said
dollars be more liquid than gold?
yes, but you asked which one is like Bitcoin. And I said gold because, yes, it's true, you can have gold bars, but you can't go to the store and buy chips with a gold bar, nor can you with Bitcoin, unless you go to the store
Just
that
like
actually accepts it.
Just a joke. You can't mine dollar bills.
Mining, got it.
That's a good point. I never thought of that. That's actually pretty good. Okay. So, what are dollar bills backed by? Oh, you spoiled that one for me.
Sorry, Dieter.
There's a lot of people that believe your dollars are backed by gold. There is no currency on earth that is backed by gold anymore. It's this crazy myth that
There was one proposed just a couple of years ago.
right by that new guy, the Republican in the state, what was it? Ryan Ross.
Ron Paul? No. This was a foreign country
Okay.
just a couple of years ago. Anyone know which one?
Let me guess, Syria? No, Libya? Guatemala?
Libya.
Was it?
Gaddafi wanted a gold-backed dinar.
And that's what he
No, it had nothing to do with it.
So a currency that derives its value only from the faith of a government is called a fiat currency. So these dollar bills that we use, these are fiat currencies. It's not, doesn't really, it only has value because we believe it does. Because the government's, I think fiat is Latin for make it so, or let it be, or shut up and just don't ask questions.
So the fiat currencies do have a built-in demand that is different than the Bitcoin. And what that built-in demand is the power of the statutory law. So now in Canada, and the CRA has already come out and stated this, and what it is that I can trade you 2 chickens for that chair. That's no problem. We can do that. No problem. But now what we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to now come up with a dollar value for the transaction and then pay the government a portion of that transaction in Canadian dollars. So yes, I gave you chickens, you gave me a chair. One of us has to come up with Canadian dollars to give the government their cut in the form of the sales tax. So when it comes to Bitcoin transactions, we can do Bitcoin transaction between the two of us. Here's some Bitcoin, I take a pen. But now we're going to have to also, at the same time, derive a Canadian dollar equivalency value of this transaction and then extract from that some Canadian dollars to save and send off to the CRA. So the fiat currencies have a built-in demand, and that built-in demand need for the fiat currencies is the fact that we have to pay tax in fiat currency.
Right. Can't pay taxes in Bitcoin. You know, there was a state, I think it was Kansas, where you can actually now pay your taxes in Bitcoin. Fact check me on that. I'm not sure of the exact state, or if it's actually a thing yet, or if it's just being proposed.
We're not in Kansas anymore. So.
Thank you for that. So the question is, do Bitcoins need to be backed? A lot of people think, well, it's not backed by gold, it's therefore worthless. So no. A currency needs to be backed to limit the supply. The supply of Bitcoin is fixed from within the code. It doesn't need to be backed. There's a reason to be backed is to limit the supply, right? So value is a concept, and this is the tough one because there are several theories of value. The one I'm going to use because this point I'm trying to make is for something to have value, 2 things: it must serve a purpose and have a need, and it must be scarce or limited in supply. Bitcoins are finite in supply, and they're really useful. With Bitcoins, you can transfer any amount of value to anyone, anywhere, anytime, without trusted third parties, quickly, securely, and affordably. And it's also programmable. That's a very short list, because we're not here to talk about the applications. It's just misconceptions, right? So why do Bitcoins have value? Because they're finite in supply and they serve many purposes. I'm sorry, I should have gone over my slide a little bit closer. I mean, you can look at these items here on the list and start to deduce and actually model out a dollar amount. What is a currency that can't be debased worth? I don't know, what was quantitative easing in the States for the last 4 years, like $1 trillion, $4 trillion or something? A crazy amount, right? I mean, how much is that costing every single person, right? And that's not just the States, it's every country. Every currency is experiencing the same sort of devaluation due to inflation.
Actually, Sweden is 0. I think that's one of the Nordic.
Yeah, there's a couple outliers there, but I mean, if you have the same currency system that's not backed by anything, you're just hoping that the government won't do it, and it's just a matter of time, right?
Well, if I've got the printing press for Federal Reserve notes, and you accept Federal Reserve notes for your Canadian dollars, and you accept Federal Reserve notes for the pound, and you accept Federal Reserve notes for the euro, I can have as many foreign currencies as I want. So I can just print out $21 trillion in Federal Reserve notes from the TARP fund. That's what it was for TARP. Insane. Then they, okay, what do you do with that? Well, let's buy some Canadian dollars. They didn't have to work for Canadian dollars. But then they were able to just buy it up because they have the print.
Yeah, you just print it and spend it where you want, buy all the oil you want. Before I move on from the values, just want to drive this point home. Transfer any amount of value. So you can transfer $1 billion worth, maybe not that much yet, but you can transfer a lot of money or a very small amount of money. Like when we were talking about the porn industry a minute before some people got here, and it's now possible to send, $1 or like 50 cents to one of those webcam girls, and I'm gonna show you a tits or something. But my point is, it's possible to send small amounts of money. It's not possible to do that with credit cards. It's just the fees to transfer the money. It's greater than the actual value that you're trying to send.
Is it really any amount of money?
No,
It's not.
no.
Because there's
lower
a
bound.
transaction.
And do
Yeah.
they accept Bitcoin for this? Sorry.
It's a pretty big thing. I haven't looked into it personally, but I've heard about it.
Educational.
For science.
Oh,
Yeah, you can send small amounts, less than a penny is the point I was trying to make. Not too much less though. Yeah, and it's quick. Like if you and cheap. If you were to try to send, $20 to India, you can't really do that today without paying $40 worth of fees. Bitcoin will never be a valid currency because the price is too volatile. Oh, this goes back to store value kind of thing. Misconception? No, that's actually pretty true. It is quite volatile. And Bitcoin will continue to be volatile for a while longer. It's a 6-year-old technology. It's still in its infancy, and with a market cap of $3 billion, it doesn't take, a whale to come in and the price is just going to go all over the place. However, as the technology matures and adoptions continue to rise, volatility will decline. This may take years. We don't really know as yet, but it should decline. Important to note, price volatility, price doesn't equal value, and this is the same for price volatility and value volatility. The value of Bitcoin isn't volatile. I guess if a bunch of people leave the network, it could drop in value, but generally, you can look at any metric, which is maybe number of wallet addresses, number of transactions per day, transaction volume, and they're all on the increase. They're all always going up. So the value of Bitcoin is constantly rising. The price is doing some other weird stuff. Nobody uses Bitcoin. False. This is a picture of Ottawa, I guess. There are currently 23 places in Ottawa that accept Bitcoin. Not a whole lot, but I think this number was 16 in June or July or something. Again, fact check, no, I can't. The memory's not too good. You can buy pizza, there's a few ATMs. You get your eyebrows done, get some beer at the Clock Tower Brew Pub, some shirts. There's a bunch of different things you can do. I foresee this growing. I heard there's going to be a contractor, if you guys want home renovations, who's going to soon be accepting Bitcoin.
By the way, how do you pay? Like, if you go to one of those places, how do you store the Bitcoin on what USB? How do you?
No, you put it on your smartphone, dude.
Oh, okay.
On a computer, you send it beeps and boops from one smartphone.
It's magic internet one.
Yeah.
You can't. Well, really, it's stored on the blockchain, and your smartphone is just kind of interfacing with that or displaying relevant information to you on your device. But it's all on the blockchain. Those miners that we saw in that distributed network and all those dots, they're the ones that are storing the blockchain.
So it's like if we took a credit card and made an app for that, and now the app, instead of being Visa, is also Bit. And then you can just scan my phone. And
Visa.
Visa, there you go.
Should trademark that, that's a good one. But yeah, there's and look, worldwide there's 6,300 places around the world, and that number grows by like 10, 20 a day, depending on which country is going through crazy inflation. It's huge in Argentina, Philippines, some places in Africa. I think taking off. I'm waiting for India to catch on, but that number is growing quickly.
But I mean, also, Data, that doesn't even take into consideration people that are getting it as well.
Right? No, these are
That's
just merchants.
Like a pizza store, you want to go get pizza. If you and your friends have, you can see those transactions and you can pay for anything. Like if I make a pizza and Sean wants to buy a slice, you do the same thing I'm doing there and still make money off it. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Where did you get that list of registered retailers in Ottawa?
This one here.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, guys, the slides are open for if any of you want them. Right down here, it got from coinmap.org, and it's updated every hour. You can go and check and see the new. I mean, there's not like a merchant added every hour. I check it every hour just in case. Yeah. I skipped over a slide there. It's one of those secret ones if you want to go back and do your homework. I thought Bitcoin died. Yep. According to this website, bitcoinobituaries.com, Bitcoin has died 43 times. You'll notice a correlation with the price, and it's actually why the website lists the price. Every time the price drops, these Bitcoin has died articles come out, and it's quite comical amongst the community because it's a quick read through these articles, and now that you know all of the misconceptions, you'll read through this and you'll be able to spot it like, no, that's an assumption they made. There's some mistake that they made in their articles, but you'll see a lot of these posts. And you'll hear a lot of them too from your friends. But Bitcoin is certainly not dead. Oh, this is the one that hurts me. I don't see how Bitcoin can benefit me. We're only just beginning to scratch the surface of potential Bitcoin applications. Digital currency, for example, is just the first application of this technology. Bitcoin's impact could reach inconceivable areas. I thought there would be a few more entrepreneurs in there. I had my closer lined up for an entrepreneur, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. As entrepreneurs, you guys are on the cutting edge of innovation. So is Bitcoin. You should consider Bitcoin because it could be a powerful tool to get your innovation to areas that you didn't think it could go. And I'm not talking digital currency. It could be anything. But if you don't know the technology and you haven't researched it, you could be missing. You could be working on something that's going to be obsolete in the next 2 years, and that would be a shame, wouldn't it? The end result is research. You've got to go in there and do your clicks and read through the articles and your blog posts and whatever, YouTube, I don't know, however you feel like learning. Join the meetup, so I think a few guys already are in the meetup. Come out to these events and we'll all share information with each other. Steve's going to do a cool presentation on Ethereum, which is a smart contract platform. I'm really excited to hear about that. We got another guy that's going to do, he's going to demo an ATM, so if you want to buy some Bitcoins in that day, there'll be an ATM here and you can get them right there and then. And then we have one more with, that's slipping my mind now. Oh, with payment channels. And this is neat because you might hear a criticism of Bitcoin is that it takes 10 minutes to validate transactions. With a payment channel, those transactions can be validated instantaneously. Super cool stuff. Attend the brown bag lunches. So this is for Hub members only. Is it for Hub members only?
So it's by members for members, and if you're not a member, it's a $10 to come. It's all the information is on our calendar, and you can register through Eventbrite.
Okay.
So that's it. But what you're saying, I think we do need a brown bag lunch for the people working out here at the least, in terms of how could they use Bitcoins.
So I was planning to do a brown bag lunch where I show you guys how to set up your own Bitcoin wallet. You may receive some free Bitcoins. Wink, wink.
Wait, 0.0025 Bitcoin?
Well, I want to demonstrate microtransactions. It's cool stuff.
It's cool.
And just this weekend, there's an International Crypto Summit. They've got a lot of cool speakers. It's like an online expo. It's kind of weird. It's like you're playing The Sims on a web interface, and I guess you tune into the screen and listen to people speak about Bitcoin. I've posted some links there, the Ottawa Bitcoin Meetup group, and the hub thing. And as a great teacher of mine once said, much to learn, you still have. Thank you guys, that's my very So, I don't know, I guess we could all just chill out now and talk about Bitcoins. Yeah, come on up.
Okay.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
That slide you had,
It's
value
price.
is not equal to price. I don't understand what that means.
Okay, so the price is a dollar amount. Value, as we were talking about, here. This is a function of the utility of something, or what you can do with it. Right?
Sorry.
I don't know, like,
Say again.
price versus value.
Well, like a value could be something like what do you care about? Water that has value. Okay, what's the cost? What's the price of water? Well, I mean, it could change. It could cost $1. In countries where there is no water, it's worth your life. It's worth
Could be
blood.
priceless.
Yeah, it could be priceless. So whether you value something, that's sort of intrinsic. But the price is determined by politics, by whatever is going on at that particular time.
What was happening right here? What was happening when that was happening?
That's when Dieter was buying all of his bitcoins.
We're going to the moon.
Why? Why?
Because everyone else was valuing what everyone else was valuing.
Because there was a significant financial crisis in our monetary system,
Yeah.
right? So what is giving American dollars value right now? Like why is it that I would take an American dollar?
Because someone else is going to take it.
Someone else is taking it, okay?
Because you can't buy oil and anything else
Ah.
until recently.
The petrodollar and petrodollar recycling, which is now coming to an end because of the Russian and Chinese bilateral agreements and the BRICS associations. Why are we going to war with Ukraine? Right? It's all about the money. It's all about this petrodollar and preserving the petrodollar. That's what we're going to war for. What was happening right here is that there was a significant confidence crisis in the dollar and the entire Western banking system. And that's when there was a lot of crisis over in Greece and the pigs. Portugal, Italy,
Greece,
Spain, Ireland.
Ireland.
Two eyes. So that's what was happening right here. And then since then, there's been a steady decline because everyone's kind of thinking, okay, the dollar's just a value. Where is it? You asked the question, where's my Bitcoin? Where is it, right? That is broken up into two things. So conceptually, we need to understand a couple of things. One, your Bitcoin is never residing on you. It's not. Period, full stop. You never have full access. You never have ownership of your Bitcoin. You own your keys. You own your cryptography. That's what you own. That's what you can have, and that's what you can secure. But you do not actually own your Bitcoins, because Bitcoins are they're a concept. It's not a real thing. You can transfer this bit to someone else, but it's not a physical manifestation of a bit. It's a referential link to a bit. It's not the same thing as a physical, tangible object. Okay? But what it is that when I have a wallet, what I have cryptography. I have good crypto. And now if my private key is divulged or taken by someone else, then they can take my bits and assign it to someone else. Okay, so what is it?
Wait.
What is it? And where is it? The bits are everywhere in the network.
Is that kind of like how you can't own the internet, but you can own a computer which accesses the internet?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it like how you can have a piece of money, a dollar bill, but it's still owned by the government that backs the currency, but there's supposed stores of gold in somewhere, hypothetically?
Not really. Because if I take your promissory note, I've taken your promissory note.
But if you take my bank number, can't you distribute my money the same way you would with my bits?
until the bank stops it. But if I take your private keys, that's it. It's over, right? So there was actually on one of the television channels, they had the printable wallets. And what is the printable wallet? The printable wallet is just your private keys printed out in a format that's easy to enter back into a computer, right? So they had these printable wallets, and the guy showed it on TV. Well, it took like all of 30 seconds before someone went up to their TV with their smartphone, captured the private key, and transferred the value to himself. And then they contacted the TV show, and the TV show was like, yeah, that was brilliant. You can keep the Bitcoin. Thank you. So where is it? It's in the blockchain. But your access and control to that wallet address is controlled by your cryptography keys. And your cryptography keys you store on your computer, you can store it on your cell phone, you can store it on a printed sheet. That's really what it is. And then the impacts. So just to mention some of the impacts for you, right? The first and most significant impact that this is going to have is finally we are going to have good information security. Up until this point, what do you have on your computers? You got a PowerPoint slide deck. You have some found photos.
You don't want to go.
Resume. I don't want to know. Do I need some PGP encryption? Yeah. But we don't really have much that's all that important on our computers. So what if the security is not bad? Microsoft has made my computer a total backdoor for the NSA. Really? So does it matter?
Yes.
Do you care?
Yes. What? Of course
You might care a little bit.
I
but
care
does
a
it
lot.
really matter? You care a lot.
I care a lot about the privacy of my computer.
Well, Apple's done the same thing.
Hey, shh. Don't talk about Apple.
Yes.
One reason you might want to care is that this technology is going to eventually replace governments, and when it does, they're going to attack you based with those things. So that's why we should care, especially in this community.
I do care about information security,
Yeah.
right?
People
Which is
should
why I
all
said
care.
finally we're going to get good infosec.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, is that while we don't really have much of value on these computers, what if on that computer was the private key securing $250,000?
Yeah, well.
Oh, that's a little different, right? Like, we're not talking about my cat pictures. It's $250,000. What if we're now dealing with an enterprise and this computer here is storing the private keys that are securing $10 million? How much are we going to spend to secure this machine?
More than $10 million.
It's not even worth it. You got
Microsoft.
You got 400 million lines of C code, where any for loop could have been off by one thing. Where, it's just ridiculous to think that thing could be secure ever.
Well,
Even if you remove all the code on there, there's still the BIOS which you can't trust, and you can't trust the hardware underneath that anyway. So you're basically screwed. So
you're basically screwed because for the last 30, 40 years, no one cared about information security. It just wasn't necessary. What are you trying to secure? Your banks, right? We all think that the banks have great security. No, they're
They
being
don't.
hacked all the time. That's not the thing. It's just that the banks will come in and backfill. You get hacked, your bank account gets depleted, they'll go, there you go, here's another couple $100. They're just backfilling. They're not actually securing it. But now that we're actually storing real value on these computers, we're going to want these computers to actually be secured. And then what kind of tools are we going to want to be securing our information? Like if I want to send you an encrypted email, that's kind of nice. How do I send you an encrypted email? Oh wait, blockchain technology, it's all crypto. I can send you encrypted messages to a specific address. So now we're pushing out good crypto everywhere. And the thing to understand about cryptography, right? Because this was a fight that happened in the 90s. And this was Vincent Cerf. Vincent Cerf fought the crypto wars. He went up to the American government and released PGP, and the American government prosecuted him because crypto was deemed as a military munition, and he was now responsible for the export of a military munition to the world. So they prosecuted him. He won. And at the end of it, They asked him, they go, "Yes, was it Bitcoin?" And he goes, "Well, you know, it's kind of sad because it's like, you know, we've got this homeless guy sitting on this bench, and he wants to transfer a half-open bottle of wine to the homeless guy sitting on this bench. So, what was the point of fighting the whole fight? You know, because what value are we really transferring? Now we're transferring value. Now we're going to start losing money. Because all of the groundwork so when we're talking about, you went into the mining, right? That mining process is just the crypto action in action. You know, it's just a PKI system. It's a PKI system on steroids.
Like, can we backtrack? Because like, I'm not familiar with the story of the guy that released PGP.
PGP. I think his name is Vincent Cerf, isn't it?
What was his
Zimmerman?
Did he create it and then publish it?
He's one of the authors too. One of. I don't think he's the only one.
Because usually in cases
I
like
know
that,
there's a guy
governments
who's also
win.
Well, they had a fix, but it was gone. It was gone. It was out. It was published. It was on the internet, right? And so that was already out there. But then came the question: was he in violation of export regulations? Did he actually put out a military-grade munition? And he wasn't right to it.
Does everyone know about PGP?
Nope.
Do you want to explain that a little bit?
PGP?
Yeah.
Sure, because PGP is really going to help you understand Bitcoin because it all starts to fit in, okay? And so now let's go back into 1990, and you know, I need to transfer student records from a school to the Ministry of Education, and the IT person's none in high school. Now, we need to come up with keys. So keys, the way that the keys kind of work, right, is that you're going to have two keys. You're going to have your public key, and then you're going to have your private. Now, when you do something, if I use my public key to do something, my private key can validate that this key did it. And when I do something with my private key, the public key can do it. Is it entirely technically accurate? Maybe not. But, you know, just to understand the basic principles of private key cryptography, this is how it works. So that means for me to transfer a message to you, I need to give you my public key. You need to give me your public key. Fantastic. So we've got our mail here. We've got Dieter, D-I-E-T-E-R. Dieter, there you go. Now, we're going to transfer public keys. So when I want to send you an encrypted message, I use your public key, I send my message through your key, and then I give it to you. Fantastic. Your private key is the only thing that is able to undo the action that was done by your public key, so you're able to read the message. And gives me non-repudiation because, you know, or actually, sorry, that's the other way around. If you sign something with your private key, then I'm able to decrypt it with your public key, and that's what gives me non-repudiation. I know you did it because you're going to secure that private key. You're never going to give that up. Should, unless you got hacked.
I got a question. I noticed there seems to be a bit of a polarity between some people who are familiar with Bitcoin and use it and understand it, and understand not only the premise and the concept, but the technology, and there's that. And then there's the people who are like, whoa, what is a Bitcoin? And they're just starting to get on the bandwagon. And I find that there's not a whole lot so far of anybody in the middle. So what one of my big questions were for this presentation is how are we going to start bridging that gap? How are we going to go from communicating to people who really, I mean, you know your stuff, to some of the people in this room who are like, I didn't even know that. I have a password on my computer. That was a big first step. I mean, I'm moving up in the ranks, okay? Yeah.
By paying attention and learning, right? Because with the technology, it's going to advance.
But here's the big problem is that we're trying to get more and more people to share Bitcoin. I mean, it took me a year to stop thinking that he was crazy and thinking like, wow, this is going to revolutionize everything. And as someone who really wants decentralized everything, that believes we should debunk most of what the government does, Bitcoin is the most powerful tool that you can use. But I am lagging in a lot of the IT department. So, and I'm still on the, up and coming, like I'm still tech savvy for my.
Basically, how do you allow laymen to use Bitcoin?
Yes.
That's a
How's my mom going to get it? How are all these people who need to be empowered and who can understand the political concept behind Bitcoin, but still beep boop boop beep, right?
In 1992, I was in a internet cafe. And I would explain to people who were at that point in time in their 40s and 50s what the internet was.
Yeah.
Right? And then how to use the internet and what IRC was and how a website worked and how to go out and you can actually search. It was Yahoo, not Google. It was Yahoo, right? And you can search stuff and go find stuff. It was empty. But today, everyone's on it. Everyone's doing it. They all understand.
Our generation and younger, yeah. My mom just learned what Control-Alt-Delete is. I mean,
she might not know what Control-Alt-Delete is, but bring her to Farmville.
Oh yeah. She knows what the Facebook is.
Right?
Does your mother use credit cards? Does she use
bank?
Does she use?
I think credit cards use her, but yeah, no.
So she uses all these things.
Tools.
Does she really understand how they work?
No.
So do we really does everyone in the world have to really understand what Bitcoin does, how it works?
I think so. And my reason for that is because, just to answer your question, I'm into stocks. I like stock research or anything like that. And this seems a lot like it. And the reason for that is because, first of all, you need to do your research, like Peter said. You need to know exactly what it is that you're doing. And, you can invest in stocks without really knowing what exactly it is, and you can get lucky and it goes up, or if you're short, it goes down and you still get lucky. But overall, you need to know what you're doing, and there's degrees for that, there's designations, there's a whole bunch of studying that you have to do and learning, and just to be able to get a little bit of an advantage on everybody else. Even at that point, it's still volatile.
Plunge protection team comes in with $2 trillion of fictitiously created money and blows your plans out of the water. or when the high frequency traders come in and then they're front running all of your transactions because they have priority access to the computer networks.
Yes,
If
it doesn't happen very often.
something, I kind of agree with what you're saying. In Bitcoin's current state, it's not easy for the average person to get involved in it. And like Spencer's saying, it's a design thing. And as time goes on, just like the internet got easier and more accessible to everyone, Bitcoin will also do that. I mean, I don't expect anyone to go out and actually learn and understand how Bitcoin works. I think it's unreasonable to get people to go and learn. Like, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I think there will be money involved for people to make it easier for the average person to just use it. And they may not even know they're using it. They may still think they're using dollars because they see the dollar sign, but in the background it may be other things going on that are utilizing properties of that, or utilizing the Bitcoin network.
I agree, because you can't really compare it to stocks. Stocks you don't actually buy anything with. It's more like foreign exchange that you compare it to. And because you can actually buy what? You can buy stuff with foreign exchange. Yes, that's my point. You can compare Bitcoin closer to a foreign exchange, like not to stocks. Because you buy stocks for an investment, and then you always going to return it back to a currency to be able to actually buy something. You want to go up and buy a chocolate bar, you pick the stocks. So, but Bitcoin, you can't.